We're celebrating the greatest event in history. And the readings today teach us something about how we are to respond to that event. And the response is to do with love of God and love of our neighbor. And we see some of those responses in the gospel. We have the wise men, the priests and scribes of the people, and Herod, each with a very different response. We start off with the wise men and how they respond. The wise men from the east have somehow understood. They've seen a sign, they've seen the star in the heaven, and they know this is a sign of something else. This star points to something else. And they recognize somehow that it's speaking about an infant king of the Jews born. And this is not just any king of the Jews or any king's son, because these men leave their homes, however far away it is, and travel however many hundreds or thousands of miles to get to this child so that they may adore him, that they might do him homage. So they've uprooted their lives because they've understood this sign and followed it. Nature is only able to take them so far, however, and they have to come to Jerusalem. They come to Jerusalem seeking the exact location of the King of the Jews. And there they encounter Herod, the priests and the scribes of the people. And the priests and the scribes of the people, obviously, they're the religious people. The wise men, they're pagans. They're not Jews at all. They probably believe in many gods. The scribes of the people have the scriptures to inform them. And they've been waiting, the Jews have been waiting for centuries for the coming of the Messiah. Their whole faith points towards Messiah, God who would come amongst them and who would change the world. And yet, they know nothing about the event. Messiah has come, and they don't know it. And it takes these three wise men, well, these wise men, the scripture doesn't actually say it's three, it just says wise men. We have three here, and it's probably because of the three gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh that we have three kings. And we also speak of kings because in the book of Isaiah and also in the Psalm, you'll have heard them speaking about kings coming from the nations, bringing their gifts of gold, frankincense. Anyway, that aside. So these wise men have arrived. Back to the scribes and the Pharisees. They have the scriptures, so they should know where the Messiah is, and they do. But their response, when they tell the wise men about where the Messiah is he's over there. Bye. Off you go. See you later. Tell us about it. We want to hear. But they don't move. This is the most important thing in their faith. Bye. They don't move. Now, it could be that as far as they were concerned, their faith had just become a human tradition. You know, the stories of Messiah had just become that, stories. Yeah, the scriptures speak about it, but it's not really going to happen. It's not real. And so if you believe that, fine, you go and find out. We'll just watch here from the sidelines. It could have been also that they knew what Herod was like. And we know Herod's response to this announcement. The King of the Jews is here. He himself, who is the King of the Jews, proclaimed so by the Romans, though he was an Edomite. And this announcement for him, it just meant one big threat. Competition that had to be wiped out, put down. So he was not happy to hear about the King of the Jews and wanted that king snuffed out. I suspect, it doesn't say it, but I suspect that there would be some who would know what Herod's response would be and would have been scared to show any sort of reverence to the Messiah in case they got in trouble with Herod, in case Herod saw them giving honor, paying homage to this other person, and had them put away. And so fear prevented them from doing what they knew they should do and respond to this great event. And we can place ourselves in any one of those categories. Our faith might be in the place where we'll be thinking, well, you know, I come here to Mass, but this is just, I do this because I should do this, because this gets me to heaven, and or because my parents tell me I have to do it, and that's about all there is to my faith. It's just something I have to do. It could be that we are actually seeking as the wise men, seeking God amongst us, and He is here. And it's great to know that He's here. The scribes and Pharisees knew He was here. But the key is not in knowing, but in encountering. The wise men sought Him and encountered Him and worshipped Him. And for us, that should be our response. We should be following the examples of these pagan men, the first worshippers of Christ from the nations, from the pagans, showing our love of God. So that's love of God. Then we've also got what this teaches us about love of neighbor. We'll be having a letter read from us to us from Bishop Peter on justice and peace. And one of the things he mentions is that Jesus is born in poverty, and the gifts brought to him were not really the gifts that he needed. There were gifts for a king, gifts for a God, gifts for the Messiah who would give himself for us. But practically, born in poverty as he was, he needed something else. He needed the practical things in life. The wise men traveled out to encounter Jesus. They left the comfort of their homes to give him gifts. Our faith should move us in the same way to help those in need. We shouldn't be content to sit in Jerusalem, nice and comfy, knowing that the scripture says this and that about loving God and our neighbor, and yet not moving. Our faith calls us to leave Jerusalem and encounter Jesus. And Jesus is found in the street, in the stable, in the mess. And we don't just encounter him, we bring him the things that he needs. Let's not emulate, let's not copy the scribes, the priests of the people. Let these men be our example for life.